Hey Bougie Click! Today, we're diving into a topic that's as challenging as it is crucial: the world of toxic narcissistic mothers. Are you grappling with a parent who seems more interested in their own image than your well-being? Join us as we explore the signs and symptoms of maternal narcissism, using the shocking case of Kendra Licari as a lens. From understanding narcissistic personality disorder to identifying the emotional scars left behind, we'll guide you through the complexities of these relationships and how to navigate them. Whether you're questioning your own experiences or seeking to understand someone else's, this deep dive is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming discussions. Let's get into it.
I'ma make you a fan.
Unmasking the Toxic Mom. Is your mother a narcissist? A revealing deep dive with Kendra Licari. Not every controlling mom is a narcissist, and not every narcissist will unleash years of psychological mayhem on their kids. But when a toxic narcissistic mother steps onto the family stage, the drama gets real, the stakes get high, and the emotional body count climbs faster than your mother's fake compliments at Thanksgiving. The archetype of the emotionally destructive matriarch is no mere cliché, it's a lived reality for countless children everywhere. Nowhere has this ugly truth been more viscerally exposed than in the Netflix documentary sensation, Unknown Number, The High School Catfish, which catapulted Kendra Licari's name from PTA meetings in Beale City, Michigan, to living rooms and therapy offices worldwide. A mother should be a safe harbor, not a battlefield commander. Toxic mothers weaponize love to control, manipulate, and shame. They blur emotional boundaries, punish authenticity, and treat daughters as extensions of themselves rather than independent people. At their worst, they leave scars deeper than any physical wound. So, buckle up as we deep dive into what makes a mother truly, toxically narcissistic, using Licari's case as a lens, how to spot the signs, understand the scars, and, most importantly, how to start clawing your way back from the brink. Is your mom loving or smothering? Nurturing or narcissistic? If your gut's already twitching, this analysis is for you. Narcissistic personality disorder and maternal narcissism: the glamour, the guts, and the grim reality. First, a little perspective. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, isn't some pop psychology insult you hurl in a wine-fueled argument with your bestie. It's a full-blown personality disorder, listed in the DSM-5, and is far rarer than run-of-the-mill self-absorption. Classic NPD features a pattern, think industrial strength, of grandiosity, constant demands for attention, an utter lack of empathy, and a musical chair's approach to guilt and blame. Only about 0.5% to 6% of the population actually vie for the NPD crown, with clinical data suggesting men outnumber women about 3 to 1, but subclinical narcissism? Oh, that's lurking on every block, in every family WhatsApp thread. When this disorder dons a pair of world's best mom socks, you get maternal narcissism. This isn't just overbearing mom energy, this is weaponized parenting, where children aren't loved as separate beings but used as ego-stroking props, rivals, or emotional punching bags. Sound dramatic? If only. Key features of NPD in moms: grandiosity, queen of her own universe, and she'll let you know it. Need for constant adulation, it's never enough. Profound lack of empathy, your pain is her minor inconvenience. Manipulation and control, you're a chess piece, not a child. Exploitative, all about what you can do for her image or comfort file. Is this ringing some bells? Good, let's keep going. Signs of a toxic narcissistic mother: if the slipper fits, Cinderella. Here's the thing, you might have grown up thinking this behavior was normal. Toxicity doesn't always mean overt, screaming tantrums, though those are pretty on-brand for this crowd. Often, it's insidious, quiet, and leaves you second-guessing yourself until adulthood. On the next page is a summary table before we unpack each one. If you're ticking more than a few boxes, honey, brace yourself. Sign of a narcissistic mother. Makes everything about herself. Even your heartbreak is her drama. Undermines your achievements. Backhanded compliments, belittling, shifting the spotlight. Ignores your boundaries. Shows up unannounced, overshares, emotionally bulldozes. Plays the victim. If you challenge her, she's the one who's hurt. Lacks empathy. Your hurts are dismissed as overreactions. Uses guilt and shame. After all I've done for you. Constant manipulation. Gaslighting, triangulation, reward-punish cycles. Treats you as an extension. Your success is mine, your failure, her shame. Jealousy and competition. Competes with you, especially around attention or relationships. Conditional love. Love is on tap, until you disagree. Emotional unpredictability. Erratic, volatile responses, never know what will set her off. Public perfect/private tyrant. Pillar of community or drama queen outside, despot at home. Shaming constantly. Destroys your confidence and self-belief. Gaslighting. Twists reality so you doubt your memories and feelings. Assigns family roles. Golden child, scapegoat, emotional caretaker, she controls the scripts. Let's break these down. 1. She makes everything about herself. Narcissistic mothers have an Olympic-level ability to twist conversations back to themselves. Your heartbreak becomes her sob story about how hard it is to watch you struggle. Your big achievements met with "I remember when I was valedictorian." Sound familiar? This relentless self-centering can make you feel like a permanent extra in the movie of your own life. 2. She undermines your achievements. Forget congratulations. Instead, expect "that's good, but did you see how well your cousin did?" Or, "You call that winning? If you worked harder, you would have gotten first." Praise is always measured, conditional, and served ice cold. 3. Boundary bulldozer. Lock your door? She barges in. Ask for privacy? You're secretive. Try to set limits? Cue icy silence or outbursts. Narc moms run roughshod over boundaries and act shocked. When called out. 4. Perpetual victim. Try to address her behavior and somehow, you're the abuser. She's the one in pain, you're ungrateful, and all she did was love too much. This guilt flip is classic narcissistic manipulation. 5. Relentless guilt and shame. After all I sacrificed, you can't even, or how could you do this to me? Narcissistic mothers could write the manual on guilt tripping. If you've ever felt like your happiness came at her expense, it's not an accident, it's textbook. 6. Manipulative games and gaslighting. Prepare for a revolving door of mind games. She'll pit siblings against each other, triangulation, rewrite history to suit her narrative, and have you doubting your own memories. "That never happened" is as likely as "I never said that," leaving you dizzy and doubting yourself. 7. The extension effect. Your victories are hers to boast about, your mistakes, evidence you're secretly a disappointment. Your life is her mirror, not your own story. 8. Jealousy and overt competition. A narcissistic mother might literally compete with her daughter for looks, attention, or relationships. Welcome to the Greek tragedy portion of the family dinner. 9. Love on a leash. Love and approval are conditional, available when you comply with her narrative, withdrawn when you assert your identity. 10. Emotional volatility. No one can quite derail a family gathering with unpredictable moods and walking on eggshells drama like a narcissistic mom. Her feelings are the weather, and everyone else is forced to dress accordingly. The result? A family system built entirely around a mother's emotional whims, needs, and ego. For kids, that means chronic self-doubt, anxiety, and a master's degree in appeasement and survival tactics. Psychological impact: scars you can't see. Living under the rule of a toxic narcissistic mother isn't just bad vibes, it can disrupt every facet of a child's development. Let's call it what it is, an invisible epidemic, sowing the seeds for lifelong issues that most therapists are still picking out of their clients years later. 1. Low self-esteem and perfectionism. Toxic mothers instill a powerful inner critic, the "why aren't you good enough" soundtrack that plays on loop. Daughters, in particular, are taught that their self-worth is measured only in reflection to the mother's standards. The result? Perfectionism, chronic procrastination, or a paralyzing fear of making mistakes. 2. Attachment disorders. Secure, loving attachment? Not with a narc mom. Instead, kids learn insecure attachments, always anxious, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. This pattern spills over into adult romantic and friend relationships, sabotaging trust and vulnerability. 3. Anxiety, depression, and complex PTSD. Children of narcissistic mothers are statistically more likely to develop anxiety, chronic depression, and traits aligning with complex PTSD, thanks to a childhood built on unpredictability, invalidation, and emotional volatility. 4. People-pleasing and boundary issues. Kids become expert shapeshifters, adept at reading emotional weather reports and pleasing everyone but themselves. As adults, they often struggle to assert needs, draw boundaries, or accept genuine affection from others. 5. Guilt, shame, and chronic self-blame. Chronic emotional manipulation teaches children to blame themselves for everything wrong in the relationship, the ultimate gift that keeps on giving into adulthood. 6. Relationship trouble. A childhood spent in service to a narcissist's needs often leads adult survivors to repeat unhealthy patterns, seeking out narcissistic partners, becoming caretakers, or recoiling from intimacy altogether. Here's the kicker: these impacts aren't just anecdotal, they're backed by clinical and academic research, survivor narratives, and a screaming chorus of Reddit threads and memoirs. Case study: Kendra Licari, Netflix's most chilling maternal villain. If ever there was a modern-day Greek tragedy, it's the story of Kendra Licari. For nearly 2 years starting in 2020, her daughter Lauren and Lauren's then-boyfriend Owen were relentlessly cyberbullied, threatened, manipulated, shamed, and hounded via thousands of anonymous texts. The sheer volume, 40 to 50 messages a day, some so vile they included explicit sexual content and calls for Lauren to commit suicide, aren't just bad parenting, they're criminal. The town of Beale City was put through a social meat grinder, friends accused friends, classmates and even Lauren herself became suspects as the FBI and local law enforcement investigated. But the biggest twist? The perpetrator was Lauren's own mother. Cue collective nationwide shock, and a new high watermark for toxic narcissism. What did she do? Kendra sent countless threatening messages to her daughter and Owen, using apps to disguise her identity, and spiced up the messages with enough personal detail to tear open old wounds and escalate anxiety. The harassment derailed Lauren's social life, isolated her from her peers and created rifts so deep that many of Beale City's relationships still haven't healed. Why did she do it? That's the million-dollar question. Even the documentary's director, Skye Borgman, called Kendra an enigma. Kendra admitted she fed off the situation and got caught up in it. She served 19 months in prison and was released in August 2024. During filming, she said she found the experience kind of fun, which only added to the unsettling complexity of her character. Legal fallout. Once caught, Kendra's fall from grace was swift and public: arraignment, charges of 2 counts of stalking a minor, guilty plea, and a prison sentence of 19 months to 5 years. She served about a year before early parole in August 2024, under strict supervision and, critically, barred from contacting Lauren. The documentary doesn't just explore the crime, it dives into the emotional wreckage. Lauren expressed hope for reconciliation, saying she still loves her mother deeply and wants healing when the time is right. Kendra's motives: playing the narcissistic playbook to perfection. What goes on inside the mind of a mother-turned-stalker? The Netflix doc, for all its detached neutrality, never quite delivers satisfying answers. Kendra herself claimed she started sending messages under the guise of getting to the bottom of who the real harasser was. Sure, January psychologists, legal experts, and everyone with two working neurons have called this what it is: classic narcissistic rationalization, gaslighting on a global scale. Multiple psychologists have suggested that Kendra's actions fit a digital version of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, cyber Munchausen, where a caregiver fabricates danger or abuse to create dependency, control, and drama. Kendra's twisted attempt to manage attachment and soothe a fear of separation, as psychologist Danielle Haig explained, serves as a textbook example of how some narcissistic mothers use illness, danger, or victimhood as levers for power and attention. Aftermath and impact. Since her mother's arrest, Lauren has, remarkably, continued to express hope for future healing, expressing both pain and compassion for her mother while focusing on her own future, criminology at college, a close bond with her father who now has full custody. Kendra, meanwhile, is on parole until 2026, her former World's Best Mom act replaced by a laundry list of rules, restrictions, and national notoriety. Why Licari's case resonates. Kendra's behavior epitomizes the worst of maternal narcissism. She weaponized her knowledge, crossed every conceivable boundary, escalated her abuse when challenged, and, even after confession, tried to spin a narrative that left her as victim or misunderstood. The global response, horror, fascination, collective grappling, shows just how powerful and chilling the archetype of the toxic narcissistic mother remains. Critical reception of the documentary. Unknown number, the high school catfish became a cultural phenomenon precisely because it exposed not just the horror of cyberbullying but the unthinkable, maternal betrayal. Reviewers praised its jaw-on-the-floor twist but criticized its neutral tone and lack of expert psychological analysis, with many viewers and professionals highlighting the need for stronger context and accountability. When Love Weaponizes, Tokyo Toni's public hostility. Tokyo Toni transformed motherhood into a public spectacle of shame and threats. She once called her daughter Black China a mistake in a statutory rape baby, then aired grudges across social media by tagging celebrities to shame her own child. In one chilling moment, she even threatened to Marvin Gaye her daughter, a reference to the tragic murder of a legendary singer at the hands of his father. This pattern of humiliation and volatility played out on reality shows and Instagram alike, with Tokyo Toni alternating between feigned support and vicious outbursts. Despite brief reunions, the undercurrent of emotional manipulation makes it clear that love twisted into control and cruelty is still abuse. The price of fame, Jennette McCurdy's "I'm Glad My Mom Died." Jennette McCurdy, the Nickelodeon child star who played Sam Puckett on iCarly, didn't just survive the spotlight, she survived her mother. In her best-selling memoir I'm Glad My Mom Died, McCurdy rips the mask off the momager archetype and reveals the disturbing reality of growing up under the control of a narcissistic parent. Deborah McCurdy wasn't just overbearing, she was emotionally invasive, manipulative, and obsessed with keeping Jennette small, both physically and psychologically. She introduced her daughter to calorie restriction at age 11, encouraging her to eat as little as 500 calories a day to delay puberty and stay marketable. This led to years of anorexia, binge eating, and bulimia, all under her mother's watchful eye. Deborah also performed breast and genital exams on Jennette until she was 16, allegedly under the guise of checking for cancer. She monitored her daughter's every move, controlled her finances, and sent vicious letters filled with insults and guilt trips. One letter, read aloud by Jennette, called her a slut, floozy, and monster, and ended with a request for fridge money. That's not maternal concern, that's psychological warfare. Jennette's story is a masterclass in reclaiming power. She turned trauma into testimony, and her book's title isn't flippant, it's earned. It's the bold declaration of someone who finally chose herself. Prevalence and demographics of narcissistic mothers. While clinical NPD is rare, narcissistic traits, especially among mothers, are alarmingly underdiagnosed. Current estimates suggest that 5 to 10% of families are affected by maternal narcissism, with up to 6% of the general population meeting criteria for NPD at some point. But here's the plot twist: cultural, generational, and reporting differences all mean the true tally is likely much, much higher. Maternal narcissism cuts across socioeconomic, racial, and cultural categories, but is more openly discussed in individualistic societies, where parenting talk and therapy are more normalized. Generational studies indicate the troubling reality of intergenerational transmission, narcissistic mothers begetting future narcissistic adults, who carry the damage and sometimes repeat the pattern with their own kids. Survivor narratives, the collective whisper becomes a roar. If you want the raw, unvarnished truth about growing up with a narcissistic mother, don't just ask therapists. Survivor stories, memoirs, blogs, subreddits reveal the lived hellscape and sketch out the subtle, long-term effects. Julie L. Hall details a childhood marked by competition, theatrical displays for sympathy, and beatings for less-than-perfect grades. Her mother was charming on the outside, a monster behind closed doors. Fabian Slama describes a wedding ruined by her mother's desperate need for attention, clown suit, anyone, followed by a lifetime of celebrated or minimized achievements and weaponized vulnerability. Reddit threads overflow with echoes, former scapegoats, golden children, adult children triggered by interrogation, grappling with low self-confidence and boundary issues, all working to rewrite their sense of self after years in a narcissistic shadow. What emerges is a pattern, unique details, similar wounds. The emotional scars run deep: people-pleasing, anxiety, inability to trust, constant inner criticism, and the heavy burden of wanting, desperately, their mother's real love or, finally, freedom from her grasp. How to identify if you have a toxic narcissistic mother. Let's get clinical, but also brutally direct. Here are some diagnostic and research-based markers to help you decide if your mother's difficult, or if you're in the blasted ruins of maternal narcissism. The 5-factor model, perceived maternal narcissism scale. Lack of empathy. Is "I'm sorry" not in her vocabulary unless it's "I'm sorry you're upset"? Grandiosity. Is she always right, always the victim, always center stage? Criticism. Are your flaws highlighted, but hers ignored or blamed on you? Control/manipulation. Does she play chess with your emotions, relationships, and choices? Parentification/exploitation. Were you her therapist, emotional crutch, or best friend even as a child? If you recognize several of these patterns, it's time to admit, it's not you. It's her. The warning signs in plain sight. She constantly criticizes your choices, appearance, or friendships to undermine your confidence. She gaslights you, denying her own offensive behavior until you question your reality. She sabotages your relationships by spreading rumors, bullying your partners, or feigning victimhood. She invades your privacy, ignoring boundaries by reading your messages or showing up unannounced. She weaponizes guilt and shame, implying that your success or happiness threatens her well-being. She publicly humiliates you on social media to assert dominance and keep you on edge. She humiliates you publicly or shares private details without your consent. She uses threats, even veiled ones, to keep you on edge. She demands loyalty while repeatedly violating your boundaries. She refuses to take responsibility, blames you for her outbursts, or insists her cruelty is just tough love. If these patterns sound familiar, you're not imagining things. Toxic mothers don't come with warning labels. They lurk behind affectionate nicknames, smile through obligatory hugs, and whisper just enough sweetness to mask a reservoir of resentment. Recognizing the damage is the first step toward reclaiming your narrative and your peace of mind. No mother is perfect, but some cross the line into chronic emotional warfare. Whether you're dodging death threats from a cyber-stalking parent or surviving public tirades from an attention-seeking matriarch, know that healing starts when you see the toxicity for what it is, and refuse to let it define you. Handling the Hydra: strategies for surviving and thriving. Alright, here's the good stuff: how to survive, recover, and, finally, set fire to those emotional eggshells. Spoiler: you can't fix her, but you can save yourself. 1. Set ruthless boundaries. Boundaries are the antidote to narcissistic chaos. State your limits clearly and consistently. If she ignores them, Enforce consequences, hang up, leave, go gray rock, emotionally neutral responses, or limit contact based on your mental health needs. Pro tip: do not justify, defend, or over-explain yourself. Narc moms see wiggle room as invitation to squeeze. 2. Deprogram the drama. Learn to recognize and override her manipulation tactics. The next time you feel inexplicably guilty for asserting a basic need, stop and ask yourself, would I ever do this to a person I love? If not, congratulations, you're already healing. 3. Focus on self-care, not her care. Yeah, self-care sounds cliché, but if you grew up with a narcissistic mom, you probably have no clue how to prioritize yourself. Therapy is your friend, individual, group, trauma-informed, or all three. Journaling, mindfulness, exercise, and, yes, cutting toxic relatives out of your life are all on the table. 4. Build a support network. Connect with other survivors, online or in real life. Narcissistic mothers thrive in silence, break it. Validation from friends, partners, or support groups helps rebuild your inner compass. 5. Accept what you can't change. Some mothers will never apologize, never change. Accepting this is the ultimate sassy act of rebellion. Don't waste energy chasing an apology that will never come, invest it in your own freedom. 6. Therapy, therapy, therapy. Specialized counseling can help you unpack childhood damage, build boundaries, and reparent yourself. Look for someone who understands trauma, attachment wounds, and personality disorders. 7. Protect children and future generations. If you're a parent, learn what not to do. Validate your kids, respect their boundaries, and break the cycle of narcissistic abuse. Unapologetically takeaways. This isn't about mommy issues. It's about the lifelong consequences of having a mother who weaponizes love. Kendra Licari's story isn't just shocking, it's a wake-up call. Narcissistic mothers aren't just a punchline, they're an international mental health emergency. If you recognize your story here, congratulations, you've named the beast. Now, arm yourself with boundaries, compassion for your younger self, and the fiery conviction that you deserve better. Being your mother's mirror was never your job. It's time to step off her stage and into your own story. Remember, you do not exist to make someone else feel whole. That's not selfish, it's survival. Moving beyond the wreckage. Recognizing toxicity is the first act of rebellion and self-preservation. If these case studies hit close to home, know you are not alone and there is a path forward. Setting firm boundaries, seeking therapy, and building a support network can help you reclaim your voice. Conclusion: Narcissistic mothers, from taboo to testimony. The world's finally shining a light on what it means to be raised by a narcissistic mother, and refusing to be shamed into silence any longer. The Licari catfishing saga makes for astonishing television, but for survivors, similar dramas play out, quietly, every day. Recognition, naming, and community are the first steps. Reclaiming your voice, dignity, and freedom? That's the rest of the journey. And let's be honest, no one should need a Netflix deal to believe their reality. So go ahead. Draw those boundaries. Trust your gut. Raise your voice. It's about damn time. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the complex and often painful world of toxic narcissistic mothers. If you found this exploration eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next revealing discussion. Remember, whether you're dealing with difficult family dynamics or just seeking understanding, you're not alone. Join our community, share your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue this important conversation together. Until next time, take care of yourself and trust your journey, because your story matters. What do you think? Is your mother a narcissist? Let me know in the comments section. Stay bougie. Follow and support me. All links in bio. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check description for more info. New episodes every day.